Good morning. And welcome. There's my grandma. Welcome. Welcome to San Francisco's James R. Herman Cruise Terminal at Pier 27. The first stop for almost 300,000 people who come here every year from around the world to our beautiful city. I want to tell you about another jewel of the San Francisco port that just celebrated 125 years, the San Francisco Ferry Building. In the 19th century, commuters and visitors traveled by train or ferry or both. So a ferry terminal on the waterfront right downtown was a practical necessity. It was the SFO of its day, Grand Central Station. But as we so often do, San Francisco built a practical space of world-class beauty with a 245-foot clock tower, a long arched arcade, and an interior worthy of a Renaissance cathedral. At the foot of Market Street, a beautiful bridge from water to land, the ferry building announced to every commuter, every traveler, this is San Francisco. You have arrived. Until that is, in the late 1930s, when two new bridges, the Bay and the Golden Gate, and the rise of the automobile made the ferry building seem outdated and unwanted. Soon, the grand interior was converted to drab cubicles, and then, in an act of urban planning catastrophe that only the 1950s could spawn, a double-decker freeway rose in the ferry building's front yard, slicing it from the city it served. For decades, this great landmark was isolated, nearly forgotten, a crumbling shell of its former glory. No one went there. No one bet on its future. Its time had passed. But then the freeway came down, and the city created a new walkable Grand Embarcadero with the Giants on one end and a restored ferry building at the center. With patience, smart planning, investment, and time, San Francisco turned a discarded transit hub back into a global icon, a famous city's most famous landmark, as Herb Caen called it. Today, the ferry building hosts shops, artisans, restaurants, farmers markets, and ferries, and thousands of tourists and locals. And just a few months ago during APEC, it hosted leaders from around the world. This one building at the heart of downtown says a lot about our downtown and about our city. First, beautiful places, world-class, desirable places, are never forgotten for long. Second, our local government, with the right vision and right investment and right support, can spark monumental turnarounds. Third, and most important, never, ever bet against San Francisco. We never stay down for long. We have faced incredible challenges in the past 5 years, two unparalleled health crises, one in the form of COVID, the other in the form of fentanyl, and a national reckoning on policing and public safety. And I know some people inside and out of San Francisco feel these challenges have overwhelmed us. I don't begrudge people's frustrations. I don't dispute these have been a tough 5 years. But rather than destroying our city, these storms have revealed our strength, our indomitable spirit, and our service to each other. I believe the past is a precursor to our rise. This is the year of the dragon, and we will soar again. We all know the story. Shortly after I took office, we began to hear disquieting reports of a new and deadly virus. Soon enough, COVID-19 would upend the world. San Francisco declared an emergency in February of 2020, and then, with our partners around the Bay, issued the first shutdown order in the country. My administration then marshaled the Department of Emergency Management, Public Health, and staff from throughout city government to mobilize and to turn our convention center into a global COVID command center. We cut through the bureaucratic red tape to set up testing sites, community hubs, and vaccination sites around the city. City workers fanned out to tend to our most vulnerable residents. And as nursing homes across the country saw ballooning death rates, we protected our seniors at Laguna Honda and elsewhere. We were one of the first cities in the country to reach an 80% vaccination rate. And as deaths climbed across the U.S. and the world, San Francisco saw the lowest death rate of any large city in the country. People want to say our civic government is dysfunctional, we can't collaborate, we can't get hard things done. Tell that to the thousands of San Franciscans that are alive today because of what we did. Our city faced a storm unlike anything we've seen in 100 years. Is anybody here 100 years old? So you didn't see it either. And through hard work, collaboration, ingenuity, and the simple decency of people, we orchestrated the most successful response in the country. And as COVID waned and vaccinations rose, we entered what I considered the second phase of my tenure, the recovery. The pandemic had led to a massive shift in how our economy functions almost overnight. Work from home exposed a weakness in economies in big cities, especially tech-forward San Francisco. We were too dependent on fields that can work from home. Our downtown had never been designed as a neighborhood with many homes and round-the-clock residents. Downtown was office, and office was hit hard. Simultaneously, the pandemic had constrained our efforts to house the homeless. Then, the murder of George Floyd and the ensuing national reckoning devastated police recruitment and staffing here in San Francisco and around the country, even as they brought to light the systemic racism that many of us have known for far too long. The Department of Justice has called the police staffing shortage a national crisis. These are national challenges exacerbated by local conditions. So what did we do? We didn't throw up our hands, we got to work on public safety. We diverted non-emergency 911 calls to free up officers while providing better overall responses for those struggling on our streets. I appointed a former hate crimes prosecutor as our new district attorney, and Brooke Jenkins began prosecuting crimes. We used bait cars and plainclothes officers to disrupt auto break-ins, to shut down our drug markets in the Tenderloin and the South of Market. We coordinated every public safety agency you can name, local, state, and federal. Sheriff Paul Miyamoto deployed deputies to conduct warrant sweeps. I appealed to Governor Newsom, and he stepped up by sending the California Highway Patrol and the National Guard investigators. President Biden and Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi delivered the U.S. Attorney and the Drug Enforcement Agency to interrupt the sale and trafficking of fentanyl. And all of these efforts have paid off. We doubled the number of drug arrests in 2023. Retail theft and car break-ins plummeted. Our homicide arrest rate was 85% in 2023, 25 points higher than the national average. And our crime rate is the lowest it's been in 10 years. Not including 2020 when we had to shut the city down. Yes, these figures are accurate. They coincide directly with the arrival of the CHP, National Guard, U.S. Attorney's Office, DEA, stepped up enforcement from SFPD, and DA Jenkins' increase in prosecutions. Now, I do recognize that some people don't feel the lower crime rate yet. And if you or someone you know is the victim of a crime, all the stats mean nothing. I understand that, and I hear your concerns, and that's exactly why we're not letting up. We will roll out 400 automated license plate cameras at 100 intersections across the city this month. Thanks to the voters for approving Proposition E on Tuesday. We will be installing new public safety cameras in high crime areas, deploying drones for auto theft, car break-ins, and other crimes, and changing police department rules so our sworn officers are out in the field and not behind a desk. And yes, we are adding more police officers. Thanks to our efforts, San Francisco is now the best paid major city in the region for starting police officers. Retention is improving. Officers are transferring here. We have the most police academy applicants in more than 5 years, and the next academy class will be the largest since before the pandemic, with 50 cadets. With all of that, we will add 200 more officers in the next year and get to full police staffing in 3 years. At the same time, we are not sacrificing our reform work. The San Francisco Police Department is on track to reach the 272 Department of Justice reforms by April of this year. Thank you to those who led these efforts, including our police chief, Bill Scott. Of course, we can't talk about public safety without talking about the other health crises. This is a national tragedy. Fentanyl is impacting our cities, both large and small, urban and rural. It's awful and it's heartbreaking. And while I am stepping up enforcement of our laws because that's what our residents deserve and that's what our city needs, I remain absolutely committed to saving lives. Our approach is about accountability, resources, and new pathways. This means arresting and prosecuting dealers, and when necessary, arresting users who are a danger to themselves. It means expanding existing treatment options and creating new ones, like abstinence-based treatment solutions. Yes, offering people services is critical, but frankly, we must compel some people into treatment. We will have an additional tool thanks to the voters who helped pass Proposition F on Tuesday. And I've directed the Human Service Agency to create an action plan for Prop F's implementation. If we can provide cash assistance to more than 5,000 people, then we can screen recipients for substance use disorder and get them into treatment. And we have the services they need, including 15 free clinics across San Francisco that can administer buprenorphine on day one. We are delivering on our goal of adding 400 new treatment beds, and if Governor Newsom's Prop 1 passes, we have a real opportunity to add hundreds more. We're not waiting. We're doing the work with Supervisor Mandelman, so when the state opens the pipeline for new beds, San Francisco is ready and first in line. That brings me to homelessness, which also remains a key focus of our recovery. Now, since I've been mayor, We've helped over 15,000 individuals exit homelessness. We are the only county in the Bay Area to see unsheltered homelessness go down in the last point in time count. We did it by increasing our shelter capacity by 66% and increasing housing for formerly homeless people by over 50%. My Office of Innovation, funded by Bloomberg Philanthropies, is deploying new accountability tools to better track data, to track outcomes, and to hold nonprofits we fund accountable. Our encampment teams are bringing people indoors and bringing down the tents despite attempts by the courts and by some advocates to obstruct our efforts. With City Attorney David Chu, we fought hard, and we've helped more than 1,500 people into shelter from encampments just over the past 6 months. The number of tents on our streets are down by 37% this past 6 months, at the lowest levels it's been since 2018. The other day, a gentleman asked me, how can we help so many homeless people but still have thousands more? Well, we know people fall into homelessness for many reasons, and that we have programs preventing homelessness for San Franciscans every single day. But we also know we keep housing people, and people do keep coming here. The advocates and some elected officials want you to believe San Francisco is not a destination. They want you to believe people don't come here for drugs or other reasons. We all know that's not true. Of those arrested for public drug use in the Tenderloin and South of Market over the last year, over half were not San Francisco residents. Half. I've had enough of it, and clearly the voters have had enough of it too. So we're not letting up. We are continuing to add new housing, new shelters. We are setting a new goal of 1,000 people a year for our Homeward Bound program, the program that provides unhoused people a ticket back to their home cities. And we have a new tool for those struggling with mental illness and addiction. For decades, state laws have prevented us from compelling people into treatment even when their families are begging us to do so. The people who are truly suffering, you see them walking in and out of traffic or screaming at nothing in particular, the people who so desperately need help. I have fought to change our state conservatorship laws for years, and we finally have succeeded. Now, we are implementing the changes faster than any other county in the state. So far this year, we've increased the number of people submitted for conservatorship by 170% compared to last year. That is how we make change. That is how we save lives. And of course, there's the pandemic-related issues felt most acutely in San Francisco, our downtown recovery. I have always believed we need to start with a question. And it's not, how do we make downtown what it was, but rather, what do we want our downtown of the future to be? In 2022, 2023, we worked with trade groups, business owners, builders, neighbors, and city departments to create the roadmap to downtown San Francisco's future. A comprehensive plan for a dynamic, resilient downtown with residents, nightlife, and businesses. A neighborhood that keeps going around the clock, downtown 24/7. The first year of our roadmap focused on stabilization, filling our empty storefronts through our vacant to vibrant programs, creating attractions and nightlife activities, and delivering tax incentives. We are recruiting new businesses and continuing to see new leases signed, led by AI, which alone is projected to add 12 million square feet of office space by 2030. And it won't be AI alone. This is one of the most beautiful urban environments in the world, with an unrivaled pool of talent, of builders and dreamers, and the largest collection of deployable capital in the country. But downtown can't just be about jobs. It can't just be the 9-to-5 financial district. We also need more people to live and study there. So our new initiative, 30 by 30, 30,000 more residents and students downtown by 2030. To do that, we first need to create more housing downtown. We've already passed a few local laws to remove and reduce fees and barriers to office conversions. Our first office conversion is actually happening right now. 34 new homes at the Warfield building that would not be happening if we hadn't stepped in, and more are coming. Now we are working on state laws to change state laws with Senator Scott Wiener to spur conversions and speed up housing production downtown. So that's housing, but 30 by 30 is also about bringing students downtown, and a lot of them. We're working with thought leaders, business folks, and educational institutions to make downtown a hub, a center of excellence. We've invited the University of California and historically black colleges and universities to join us, and some are coming as early as this summer. We're working with other universities and our existing anchors, UC Law, USF, and San Francisco State University. Imagine that. Students, professors, researchers, and employees walking from dorm room to classroom, from startup to conference space, from the Ferry building to City Hall, cross-pollinating ideas, cross-pollinating companies. We will be leading the way in AI, climate tech, and biotech, and things we have never even imagined yet. Housing, students, innovation, that's our future. Tearing out the bike lanes on Market Street, going backwards, will not move us forward, and it won't magically revive downtown. But 30,000 more people living and going to school down there will. Downtown has always been the economic engine that funds the services we care about. And its post-pandemic difficulties are the driving reason for the deficit that we now face. We no longer have the luxury to penalize. We need to incentivize. So let me make two things clear. Number one, the Board of Supervisors and I will close this deficit, and we will not weaken our public safety to do so. Number two, I have a clear vision for downtown's future, and my administration will make it happen. Our vision is a vibrant, mixed-use neighborhood with transit, bars, restaurants, venues where people live, work, study, and play. We are through the valley of COVID. We've endured the slings and the arrows of its recovery. And now we rise to our next chapter. On housing, we are changing our reputation as a city of no to a city of yes. Yes. Yes to reducing fees, yes to eliminating barriers, and yes to any idea that overcomes obstruction and builds the new homes we so desperately need. Though there is one housing no I will commit to, any piece of anti-housing legislation that comes across my desk, I will veto. Every single one. We have a state mandate, so let's build our projects like the power station where we broke ground last year, and Treasure Island, where just this week we relaunched a new phase of housing. Let's work with our land use chair, Supervisor Melgar, to keep advancing pro-housing laws through the board. And let's bring 30,000 residents and students to the downtown. If we do that, More people in more neighborhoods will be able to afford to live here. More housing means more opportunity. And San Francisco will remain the city of yes for our children and their children. And it's not just a vision. Our work is actually delivering change. Crime is at record lows. San Francisco is the AI capital of the world, the birthplace of the next economic boom. The LA Times reports that in 2022, San Francisco companies raised 5 times as much funding as the companies in Florida and Texas combined. It's what they do to us. Our small business reforms, like first-year free, championed by Supervisor Hillary Ronen, are filling empty storefronts across the city. We are a national leader in early child care and education, doubling the number of kids getting care and subsidies in 2018. And paying our educators a real wage that recognizes them for the work that they do. We just hosted leaders from around the world for APEC, the biggest global stage for San Francisco since the signing of the United Nations Charter in 1945. Our parks are the best in the world, and we've massively expanded outdoor public areas from JFK Drive to India Basin that's come into the southern waterfront. Muni is leading the Bay Area's transit recovery. Who would have thought, Willie Brown? Carrying more riders than all of the other regional transit operators combined. We are on pace to hit our goal of 0 greenhouse gas emissions by 2040. We are launching a WNBA franchise hosting the NBA All-Star Game, the Super Bowl, and FIFA World Cup. And I envision a San Francisco of walkable, safe, thriving neighborhoods with great schools that teach algebra and a strong economy. Where people get the help they need and where everyone is welcomed. I want to thank the voters for supporting this vision on Tuesday by backing these various propositions and the strong rejection of Proposition B. Thank you, Supervisors Joel Engardio and Matt Dorsey, for your work on algebra and police staffing. And congratulations to Scott Wiener, Matt Haney, and Catherine Stephanie on your impressive victories. As well as all those newcomers who bravely stepped forward to run for county committee. And let me say something to those in the press claiming Tuesday election means San Francisco is not a progressive city anymore. Building homes and adding treatment beds is progressive. Wanting good public education and effective police force, valuing the safety of our seniors from Chinatown to the Bayview, our immigrant and working families in the Tenderloin, is progressive. We are a progressive, diverse city, living together, celebrating each other, LGBTQ, AAPI, Black, Latino, Palestinian, and Jewish. That is not changed, and that will not change. So I don't know about you, but I'm tired of the negativity. I'm tired of the people who talk about San Francisco as if our troubles are inevitable and our success a fluke. Our successes are not a fluke, and they are not fleeing. They're the products of years of hard work, collaboration, investment, creativity, perseverance. They're the output of thousands of people in government and out who believe in service, not cynicism. So I want to say something to those inside San Francisco and out who traffic in negativity, to sell ads, to advance right-wing causes, to tear others down, or to simply stroke fear for their political convenience. I want to say this on behalf of the real people who you have been disparaging. On behalf of the nurses, the gardeners, the janitors, the counselors, the commissioners, the engineers, the emergency workers, the teachers, the transit operators who dedicate themselves to this city. On behalf of our firefighters, our 911 dispatchers, our sheriff deputies, our police officers who do life-saving work under difficult circumstances. On behalf of the startup founders and engineers who are reimagining our local economy. On behalf of the small business owners, the bartenders, the artists. On behalf of the women. On behalf of the women here who let women everywhere know that we trust them to make their own decisions and offer them a safe haven when they do so. On behalf of the YIMBY housing advocates who started a movement here that has taken root all over the country. On behalf of the transgender activists and their families, chosen or otherwise, who've made San Francisco an outpost of hope. On behalf of the city I've called home my entire life, which I am proud to serve every single day, I offer these words from our 26th President of the United States, Teddy Roosevelt. You'll excuse me for updating the pronouns. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong woman stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the woman who is actually in the arena. Who strives valiantly, who errs, who spends herself in a worthy cause. To those outside the arena, watching from the sidelines, who offer only criticism, I have a message for you. San Francisco is not wearing the shackles of your negativity any longer. I'll say it again. San Francisco is not wearing the shackles of your negativity any longer. To the public servants who've been here during the city's most difficult time, doing the work all along, thank you. Thank you for your service. We will continue to move our city forward, to be the city of yes. No longer will we allow others to define us because we know who we are. We are a city on the rise. We are a dragon taking flight. Now let's soar, San Francisco. Let's soar. Thank you.